Yo, what up? My name is Don, and today we're going to be doing an unboxing for a webcam that I received for being a KickPix winner. If you don't know what KickPix winners are, that's when Kick Streaming highlights over the course of a month a bunch of streamers to put on the front page, give a bunch of subs to, and generally just feature them and make them feel good on Twitter and on the website as well. So I was a winner of KickPix week 5. They're now on week 26 or 27 or so. And because of that, the company OBSBOT, which isn't affiliated with Kicks, who makes webcams, decided to send me and all the other KickPix winners, previous and current, an OBSBOT Tiny 2 camera. They make AI-powered webcams, and I can't wait to upgrade my stream with this webcam. So we're going to be doing an unboxing today. We have it right here in the box. Can't wait to get into it. Without further ado, let's hop right in. All right, so you can see in front of my keyboard here, we have the box. I did get into it a little earlier. I just kind of snipped the box open just to see the actual prize that we're looking for. This is the OBSBOT Tiny 2 camera. Let's just get this out of here. This is going to be the nicely wrapped OBSBOT Tiny 2 camera, the 4K AI powered webcam that I can't wait to get into. Let's take off this bubble wrap and see what's inside. So taking off the bubble wrap here, we can see the box. It just has a little picture of the Tiny 2 on the front there. So we can see after taking off the bubble wrap, we just have a picture of the OBSBOT Tiny 2 camera on the front. There's nothing really too special. It's regular packaging. And let's get into it. Let's see how we open this thing. We want to... So it looks like we're going to be unboxing this thing from the front. We had a little piece of tape there that folded up. Once we get into the inside, we've just got a little pamphlet with the manual inside, all nicely tucked in there. Let's, does that want to come out? Does that want to come out? You want to come out? There you go. There's the user manual. After we have the user manual, we'll put that off to the side. We've got a nice little bag, a hard, I'm not sure you can hear that. Just knock it against the camera. We've got a nice, put that out of the way. So we've got a nice hard plastic molded case here. Nice molded case for the camera. Opening it inside, the zipper is really nice. I just want to mention that. Wow, that is a chunky cable. That is a USB-C cable. I don't know if we can see that. That's USB-C on that end, USB-C on this end as well. There you go. Get those two ends in the camera. But that is a chunky cable. Wow. Next out of the packaging, we have in a dark bag here. A little dark baggie here. It looks like we have an adapter. This is a USB-C to USB-A adapter. This feels like it's metal. This feels very well made. This has some weight to it. This is a USB-C. You can see the USB-C to USB-A adapter. We'll put that right there. And finally, we've got, whoa, the base is magnetic. Holy cow, this is metal. Wow. That feels really good. Okay, let me just put this right here. This metal base, this mounting clip feels really good. The hinges in it, let's put that like that. The hinges in it have quite a bit of resistance. It doesn't feel forceful to move. It just feels very good. It feels like you can see that I got to put a bit of force on it to get the hinges to move, and that's a good thing. You do want the webcam to be solid in its spot once you set it up, and because the Tiny 2 is so lightweight, I do not think that this thing is going to be causing any troubles at all. So there it is. It's got a little piece of protective film on the camera itself that you should be able to see by the little pull tab right here. And that is it. It also feels very weighty. As you can see, the camera turns around completely about 270 degrees. Yeah, about 270 degrees. Probably more like 300 and some odd degrees. But on the bottom, we have what looks to be like the little magnetic feet there. All it has on the bottom is the model number and a serial number. So there's not much to actually look at as far as the camera itself. On the back, you're going to get the USB-C charging port right there on the back. And the cable itself, let's just open up the manual. The cable itself, let's see if we can get any details. The cable is fairly long. Of course, there's a bunch of different languages in here. This says, what do we have here? What do we have here? How long? This cable seems, the USB cable seems like it will be at least 3 feet. I'm actually going to pull it apart here. So we're going to move the Tiny off to the side. The USB cable looks like it's at least 3 feet, if not a foot and a half long cable. You can see that from one end to the other end of the cable, yeah, that's a 3-foot cable for sure, if not longer. That goes for quite a while. If I hold both ends and double it over, we're still, more than the full length of the camera. So that's 4 over. That's 4 over there with the cable. You can see how long the cable actually is, right? The cable's fairly long, so you won't have any trouble with the amount of cable that you need. There is plenty of cable there for you. The cable is quite thick too. The cable is quite thick. If you can see how chonky this cable is versus a regular USB-C cable, which would be something like my headset cable beside it, so you can see the difference just there over the manual. There's a huge difference in cable thickness. That's intense. So we'll get that wrapped back up. And now we will get into setting up the Tiny. As you can see, there's not much to it. The USB cable, the mounting plate, which is kind of like a tri-axis mounting plate. It works the same as any other webcam mount, except this one is going to have the OBSBOT 2 is able to just magnetically mount to it. So I'm going to do that once again to the side. I'm just going to hold the mounting plate on the side, and you can see that there's no screw in the bottom. There's no nothing. It just, let's get that right there, and it stays there. I want to drop my camera already, but it's a pretty firm hold. I would feel comfortable doing this and the camera not going anywhere. That's really, 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 really strong. That's really well made. Really well made. Yes, absolutely. So if you wanted to put your webcam in any funky position, you absolutely could with the kind of Z bracket mounting plate. That's very cool. There's so many different positions that you can get the mounting plate into depending on your monitor setup or where you want to stick this thing. That's really cool. I cannot wait to get this set up. There you go. As we have it, the OBSBOT Tiny 2. One of the last small but probably unmentioned features that I want to talk about is the fact that you can just point the camera down at the base when obviously it's set up and faced more like this, but you can set the camera down and the camera will stay down like a built-in privacy feature. That's really cool. I really like that. Yes, that's absolutely amazing. It is a trip that this camera is 4K, being that it's this small. Well, as you can see, there's not much to it, so let's get it set up and see what it can do. So I just plugged in my Tiny 2, and you'll notice that there is a green light lit up on the bar below it. I guess this is to tell you that the Tiny 2 is active. Of course, I could read the user manual to find out what exactly the light means, but I think it's pretty obvious. The other thing I noticed is that when you have the camera pointed down, it will stay in that down position, and the light will go off as if to tell you, again, another visual indicator that the camera is off and not operating. When you point it back up, the light comes back on. That's a cool thing. That's a cool little feature. So once you have your OBSBOT Tiny 2 plugged in, you're going to want to come to the website, go to the downloads category, click on OBSBOT Tiny 2. We're going to want to download the firmware. So click download that to your system, and we're also going to want to download the OBSBOT Center. This is the software for the OBSBOT. And that's going to let us unlock all the things it can do, including the tracking, the face tracking, the body tracking, all the zoom in and zoom out, and all the really cool effects that this AI-powered webcam can do. So let's get right into it. One thing to note is that when you download the OBSBOT TinyTube firmware, it's going to give you a bin file that you're going to have to install by using the OBSBOT software. So you're going to want to come back to the website, install the OBSBOT Center software, and then based on the guide, you're going to want to open up the software, go down to the firmware version update. That's right in the software. You can see it here on the website. We're going to click that, and you're going to navigate to your bin file, and that's how you're going to upgrade your Tiny 2. So once your installation is done, you're going to click Finish here and wait until the software opens, and then we'll be able to dive right into upgrading the firmware on the unit. So we can see here, we have to allow access to the camera slash software. It came up right away, OB Center. It kind of looks like TikTok UI. But anyway, it says device is sleeping, and it is sleeping. I know you guys can't see it right now, but the camera is pointed down. So you can see once we have the software open here, it's going to say device is sleeping, and you can see on the overhead camera that the OBSBOT Tiny is pointed downward. We can press resume, and that will wake the camera up. As you can see, it just came to life over there. What we're going to do is head over to, and it looks like you have a ton of controls here, from view and gimbal, wide, medium, and narrow view, all sorts of presets. AI mode for whiteboard. It actually detects whiteboards. It can detect your hands. It can detect a group of people, or desk mode, aka pointing down at the desk to track something down there. You can zone track. You can track your motion, normal tracking, upper body, close up, headless, lower body. That's actually insane. Just getting into some of the options here, you have your autofocus modes, your exposure, auto exposure. If you want to set it to manual, and then you have control over the ISO and shutter speed, which is actually amazing for me being a photographer. You have anti-flicker mode at 50 and 60 hertz. You have white balance. You can change the Kelvin temperature yourself to match whatever the temperature is in your room, the white balance is in your room. You can change the contrast, saturation, sharpness, and the hue. Tons of controls there. You even are going to have some filter settings in the beauty section. It looks like they have some, they call it retouch. It's under the retouch section, but these are basically filters for your face, some AI filters. Native, classic, one's just called man. And then you get some sliders for your tone, the smoothness, to clarify, not clarity, but clarify, to slim down your face or to narrow your face, which we can get into playing in all of that in just a moment. And then there are some actual filters that once we have this set up and on screen, I will show you guys in just a second. And then in the more section, this is just some extra options. For example, sleep options, your gesture control options, how far it's going to zoom in once you do the zoom hand motion that you can see here that it wants you to do. We are going to resume. It looks like the device does go off if it's not detecting anything. I still have the film on the front of the lens, so it can't really see anything too good anyway. Voice control, so that's very cool. These are things, I guess, that you can say, commands you can say: hi Tiny, sleep Tiny, track me, unlock me, zoom in closer, and zoom out further, that your Tiny 2 with the built-in speaker will pick up and will be able to then enact for you. In the audio, there's also noise reduction. That's amazing. It has built-in noise reduction in case you are streaming in a noisy environment. You can disable the microphone if you don't want it listening to you, or if you just don't want it on when you're not using the webcam. You can mirror your image. You got some pan tilt settings, indicator status, everything that you could possibly want is there. And here in the more options tab as well, we're going to see the firmware version. This one was 6.0.71, which is the same that you can see here on the website. So we actually don't have to upgrade, which is awesome. It looks like, yes, the Tiny 2 firmware came out in February 1st of 2024, and it looks like they upgraded the actual software, which is going to include the upgraded firmware on April 10th of this year, 2024. So that's awesome. You don't even have to worry about the firmware upgrades if you download the most up-to-date OBSBOT Center, which we can see here was on April 10th. And because of that, we can go right into testing it. So we'll get the Tiny 2 on camera, and we'll get into how some of these image controls and beauty filters work. So as you can see here, I'm about to do the prestigious film pull. We're going to pull the film off the lens here. Live, my little friend. There we are. The Tiny 2 is alive. We can see the lens there, which is going to be giving us beautiful AI-powered 4K. I'm going to mount it on my monitor now. We're going to go through some of the filters and image controls that we have in the software. Okay, so here we are using the OBSBOT Tiny 2 in 1080p at 60 FPS. I wanted to start at this resolution and frame rate because that is the resolution and frame rate that my OBS is putting out from my other camera. Both my main camera, my actual Sony a7 III, puts out 4K, and the OBSBOT Tiny 2 puts out 4K. But I am streaming or recording in 1080. So I wanted to start there, and then we will scale up and go to 3840 by 2160. That is UHD 4K. And then we will go to the OBSBOT Tiny 2's maximum resolution, which I noticed in OBS is actually 4000 by 3000 pixels, which is pretty cool. I noticed that even though the image is smooth at 60 FPS right now, it's a little bit contrasty. It's very contrasty. So, of course, we can go into the image settings and change those. And what I'm going to do now is pull up the OBSBOT controls right here, and we'll go through some of the options so you can see basically how they work. So we have wide here, which is going to be basically the full width of the resolution that you pick. We have medium, which is going to zoom in a little bit, again using a base of 1080p here, or we're going to go with a very narrow. And honestly, I'm loving the details in this camera. Again, it's contrasty, but it's quick. It's not laggy. It's not a little bit pixelated. Not pixelated, but just a little bit grainy, like my old Logitech C920, which was the original Logitech C920. We're going to go back to wide here. That's the original Logitech C920, not the upgraded version that came out a couple years ago. So that is the console settings. We'll go into image here. We can have auto exposure. I'm just going to click that on and off just to see some of the changes there. So when you turn it off, you get a very drastic change immediately, but when you turn it on, it seems to slowly go back into the settings it had. Off and back on. You can see it kind of like slowly transition back into where it thinks it should be. We have anti-flicker at 50 or 60 hertz. Pretty cool if you're getting any flickering from light bulbs or any other light source. The image here, right? Contrast. So yeah, we can make it much more contrasty. If you double click, it does not go back to the default setting. Just be aware of that. And it looks like you can't drag the bar to 50. You have to, it's 49 or 51. It's a little bit annoying, but I mean, you can always just, hit 49 or 51 and just hit the up or down right here. So with the saturation, all the way to black and white, or we can make it very, so that would be more what would be normal to me. This looks much more normal. That's just a 7 point difference in the saturation from 50 to 43. So I'm going to go back up to 50, right? It just feels maybe a little bit contrasty to me. Maybe not. But you can see here at 60, it definitely is too contrasty. So there is quite the change, even though you don't move the bar very much. I would say about maybe somewhere between a 45 to 50 feels rightish for me. 47? Somewhere around there. But regardless, 50 just feels sometimes 50 feels a little bit weird there. We have a sharpness, which we can jack all the way up to make me super vivid, wow, or make me a bit soft, a little bit dull. That works very good. You can see the difference there. That's max sharpness. And you can notice it most in my hair, actually. If you look at my hair, if you look at my dreadlocks, you'll see that 100 really brings in the texture of my hair. That's kind of crazy, and it makes it look like 1080p. It kind of makes 1080p look as detailed as 4K does. So that's kind of crazy. We're going to go back down to 50 there. And last but not least, we have our hue, so we can make my lips super pink or make me Green Goblin sick. I think that honestly, it's really cool to see the extremes so you understand how these controls are actually changing the image. We have autofocus or we have manual focus. So you can literally set the focus, which is so cool. That is actually so cool. One option that I wish it had, which OBSBOT, if you guys see this video, is that's me setting the focus manually, which is pretty good, right? If I set autofocus, yeah, it's about the same. I would love for there to be focus peaking so that I can see when I'm on manual focus what is actually in the plane, in the focal plane, and what isn't. You can set it from the autofocus mode from global to face. So again, if I just, it can focus on my face, or if I want it just to focus the scene overall rather than just prioritizing my face, I can do that. That's really cool. I love those. We also have HDR, which is turned off right now. And it says right here, HDR is only supported for resolutions of 4K, 1080p, and 720p. Is that not what I'm using right now? I'm not sure why it's turned off. Maybe there's a reason for that somebody can find out. But if we go into the beauty settings here, this is where it's going to be interesting because I've never played with an AI-powered camera that can do these things, other than like TikTok filters or whatever other filter in some sort of social media app. So here we go. I'm going to hit native. Okay. Are these on? Let's see, retouch. Let's see, is it doing anything to my face? No, eh? No, what if I do the slim? Huh, is it not on? Instructions for use. Oh, we need to have this on? Select OBSBOT virtual camera. Oh, I see. Okay. So what it wants us to do is in OBS, I wonder if I can do this while it's live. In OBS, it wants us to choose for the webcam, it wants us to actually put the properties to the OBSBOT virtual camera. I've chosen that now. I'm going to turn on the virtual camera in the settings. It says once the virtual camera is enabled, please select OBSBOT virtual camera in the software. We've done that. Okay, so the camera resets a little bit. I'm much brighter right now. Holy cow. Um, can we go into image and change? Did the focus go off? I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. It's my eyes are really big right now. I'm like, is the AI stuff working? I'm like, why are my eyes so big right now? Beauty. Let's go back to native. Oh yeah, it is changing my face. So this is the man setting. Yeah. Wow. AI filters are a trip. This is a trip. I'm gonna bring my recording screen over here so I can see it. No, we're gonna put it back over here. um, yeah, so you can see I can make my face completely smoothed or not smooth. I can lose all the detail on my face. The clarity at both ends of the scale. We're gonna put that back to. We'll just put well, whatever it is. Slim. You can see it slims down my jaw. Kind of like sucks in your jaw. It like pin cushions your jaw. It makes me look like I'm a little bit alien head. You know what I'm saying? Makes me look like I got a little bit alien head. My head just goes like big in the top and then like a little like V shape. I literally look like I have an alien head. And then narrow. Again, it just pulls your cheeks in. This is weird. It's weird. It's very weird to see this, but you guys are seeing it at the same time as me. I'm gonna turn off retouch and then my face goes back to normal. That's a trip. That is actually a trip. We can have all sorts of filters here that are going to change the color scheme of what we're doing. So I got to take this off my face. Can I just reset? No, I want can I we're going to turn off the retouch. There we go. This is my normal face. It's weird. And the colors of the camera are a little bit weird right now under the virtual camera, but that could be um like when I'm doing OBS virtual camera over to TikTok, the colors are also messed up until you change them to NV12 and then partial as opposed to full color gamut. Um, if you don't do that on TikTok, it does not look right at all. You can put on background blur. Very cool. If you don't want people, this is only a level 3 background blur too, so you can really amp it up. Yeah, you can really amp it up if you kind of want to hide in your background and make things not. This is super. I mean, if you're using a green screen, you could also really stick out amongst your green screen background. Look, it's even taking my mic stand out of it. That's wild. I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated. So that is some of the beauty controls you can do. We're going to turn off background blur. The level. Oh, sorry. These are still the filters. Of course, just like say Instagram photo filters, something. This is black and white, and then we can just you know turn up or down the intensity of that filter that we've chosen. So you can see there, these are all the filters we're going through. I think these options are really cool on this camera. What I'm going to do now is turn off the virtual camera, and we're going to go back to the regular OBSBOT camera. So OBSBOT has two settings in OBS. It has OBSBOT virtual camera and it has OBSBOT Tiny 2 stream camera. Those are the two settings. If you don't want the AI settings, which again make the color look a little bit weird to me, then just choose the regular Tiny 2 camera in your actual OBS software. And now what I want to do is go back to, I believe it is going to be the not the image. Where are we going to see those options where we get to choose our camera resolution? Oh, that is going to be in OBS. That's going to be in OBS. So right now, what we're going to do at OBS is switch the resolution of the webcam from a 1080p at 60 FPS right now, and we're going to um, a UHD 4K at 3840 by 2160 FPS. I keep looking at my actual camera as opposed to the small Tiny 2 lens, but we're on the Tiny 2 lens right now. This is outputting. This is 4K at 30 frames per second. Okay, we are now at 4K at 30 frames per second. You can see a little bit more of my room here. I don't think we need the controls on screen, but I guess we'll leave them there for now. Here's where we can mess around with some of the motion tracking. So if I set this tracking, oh, oh yeah, it works. Yeah, the thing is looking at me. That's so weird. Very cool. Let's click close up. That's so wild. That's a trip to me. That is a trip to me. I don't know what to say. Oh, that's a trip to me, okay? We can do what if we do headless? What are we zooming in on? Hello? Tiny 2? We can go I'm afraid to click lower body. Where are we taking us? Where are you going? It literally knows to zoom down there on my torso? What? Get out of here, bro. AI mode. We're gonna have hand. It definitely tracked my hand. It once it tracks a hand, once it sees a hand, it knows. Can you do my other one? Yep. It'll switch hands too. It'll definitely switch hands. It says the hand tracking right now in the software is set to right hand, as you can see down here, but it doesn't matter. This is my left hand, right? And it's tracking right hand. So if I set it to left hand, oh, it actually looks the other way. Okay, so the camera will try to find your hands, which is absolutely intense. We do have view and gimbal controls, which I can drag up, just like the controls on like a DJI Ronin or something like that. If you've ever messed with one of those gimbals, it'll follow my controls as I'm jankily moving it around. You can also use the arrows. Hold on the arrows, and it will. Right. Right now, it's set to upper body and tracking, so we can just put that to standard. And we can have whiteboard. I'm not sure what it's going to do with whiteboard. There's no whiteboard in this room, but okay. And then if we have it on desk mode, wow, wow, you've got to be kidding me. That's so good. That is so good. We're gonna take this off for a second. That is so good. I don't know. I don't know what to say. This is actually so good. Like it just looks so good. Obviously, my mouse pad is old, but wow, this works amazingly. This webcam is absolutely amazing. Lastly, I want to go to its maximum resolution. I'm gonna try to get this back down to just tracking on my face a little bit. Let's pull that down a little bit and up a little bit. Okay, cool. So we are going to. What if I press reset on the view? Okay, so cool. So what I'm going to do now is go in OBS and take the software up to its maximum resolution of 4,000 by 3,000 pixels. This also is a max frame rate of 30 frames per second. Again, 4K and this 4K by 3K, kind of just a little bit oversized 4K or whatever it is. Can we get this Tiny 2 to? Nope, we want to go the other way. Can I get it to track me? Tiny 2, come with me. There we go. We need to reset and go up a little bit. Okay, so this is the final resolution of 4,000 by 3,000 pixels. As you can see quite a bit of my room now. And if we still have I guess the kind of like zoom in or crop in options, the wide, medium, and narrow settings that you can see here on the options. This is narrow, this is wide, and that was medium, and this is wide. And that pretty much wraps up most of the things you can do. We haven't got into the hand gestures. And I'm just wondering if we can do that. So now we're going to try some of the voice controls real quick that are here in the software. When I say, hi, Tiny, you can see the indicator bar on the Tiny actually flash green. We're going to try the next one, sleep, Tiny. Sleep, Tiny. That actually worked. It did turn it off. Hi, Tiny. Let's try that again. Hi, Tiny. Hi, Tiny. There we go. I did have to say it a little bit louder, but the tiny did come on. Um, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to turn up the speakers or the microphone inside of it to hear me a little bit better. Track me, track me. There you go. So you do have to say it loud enough for the indicator to flash green. The indicator will flash green as soon as it acknowledges your command. And then it will, when it's doing the command that you're telling it to do, like right now, it has a blue light across the whole indicator bar. Unlock me. Unlock me. You do have to speak up. You definitely do have to speak up. Um, you definitely do have to speak up to get the camera to follow you. And now we're going to try some of the other ones. I'm just going to take the camera and I think we're going to go down to, is it image? No, it's console control. Yeah, we just want this to be a little bit lower. There we go. So we're going to go back over to more and try this one. Zoom in closer. Zoom in closer. There you go. So you really do have to, really do have to, speak at the tiny. You really do have to kind of be like, tiny, listen, right? Zoom out further. Perfect. That one worked fairly well. It does have a zoom factor here that you can indicate yourself. And now we're going to try the position commands. Position 1. I wonder if we are on position 1. Position 2. It did acknowledge position 2, but I'm not sure if I have to set up position 2. Let's try position 3. Position 3. Position 3. So again, the indicator did acknowledge that I said, indicator 2 when I was speaking, and it did acknowledge when I said indicator 3. It's just that I haven't set those up, so nothing changed. You can disable the microphone. Again, you can turn the noise reduction off. The last thing I want to test is actually the hand controls. So we're going to try some of them. Let's try the locked target. This is going to turn off and on. There you go. And it works. All I had to do was show my open palm to the camera. And apparently, if I do it again, as soon as it flashes blue, I know it's done my command and now it's not tracking anymore. Once again, I'm going to go over to console and just drag the camera down a bit. I need to create a position 1, 2, 3 so it knows where to return to when I am using it in this sense. We're going to try and zoom now. This is telling me to do this with my hand. Definitely worked. And we're going to try it again. Absolutely awesome. Once again, I can control the zoom factor, so it is zooming in quite a bit right now at the 2 times zoom, but I can make that just a little bit less so it's able to see my full hand in frame. And finally, this is going to be dynamic zoom. Let's try this out. No way. There we go. Okay, so after a little bit of playing, I will get used to this, of course, but yes, I will get used to this, of course, but if I show up my hands and I pull way apart, no, we want to go the other way. Tiny, behave. Okay. Move hands to zoom in out. Well, I'm going to try. It doesn't say which way to move your hands. It doesn't say to move them backwards. That didn't work. Okay, we're going to try to zoom out. There we go. And we only want a zoom out, tiny. Okay, so once again, we're going to try the dynamic zoom real quick. Okay, so the dynamic zoom is a little bit funky, but I probably have to give myself more of a frame to have it detect properly because it is zooming in too much and then can't detect my hands to zoom back out. But it definitely does work and it is pretty cool. All the voice commands work, all the filters work, all the AI stuff works. This is one of the most capable cameras that I've ever used, and I really just want to thank OBSBOT, OBSBOT camera for sending this out to me and all the other KickPix winners. I can't wait to make some content with this. This was just supposed to be a little bit of an unboxing and a quick review, but I guess it's an unboxing and review. So there it is. Definitely check out OBSBOT and the cameras that they are making. They have a bigger camera, I think called the Tail Air or Tall Air. I think it's called the Tail Air. That is also, I believe, a 4K powered camera. that is probably like 2 times the size of the Tiny 2. So the quality on that one is probably just gorgeous. And if it can do all the same things that the Tiny 2 can do, but to a more extreme degree, I imagine that experience is going to be absolutely awesome for a webcam, because this Tiny 2, is a world of an upgrade from my old Logitech C920. So that does it for my unboxing of the OBSBOT Tiny 2. Once again, thank you so much. And as always, if you guys want more content like this, want more reviews, this is my first review in a while, please, as always, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.